Welcome to Talk Design Podcast, the space where creativity meets conversation. I'm Adrian Ramsey, your host, and as someone deeply entrenched in the world of design, I'm thrilled to introduce you to the minds that inspire me in the hope that they will spark something special within you too. From a design past crafting women's swimwear to pushing the boundaries of performance sportswear, from mountaineering to international yachting, to implementing systematic innovation solutions that transcend boundaries in aerospace industry. My heart remains rooted in architecture, and exploring the emotional tapestry woven by built spaces is my fascination. My journey in design has been what can only be described as a life of design. I want to thank you for lending me your ears. I'm eager to embark on this next episode together. My guest on Talk Design today is Hayley Morcom. Now, Hayley and I have never met. We have a common friend. That's her boyfriend. He's one of my surf buddies. And we got to, I was talking to him and he was saying to me, hey, you should meet my partner. She's really amazing. And he was raving about her. And I'm like, oh, how cool. And he said she had a podcast. And I said, I've got a podcast as well. And we, anyway, went from there. So anyway, since then, Hayley and I have been on the phone yakking to each other, and we're now live in front of each other, creating this podcast, and we will be doing more together for sure. Somewhat birds of a feather, but very different birds, I want to tell you a little bit about what Hayley does. So she's got a big background. She's going to tell us about her background, but she's a holistic wellness expert. And with that, she wrote the book Naturally Nourished, which she's the author of, and she has her own podcast, which is the Hayley Morcom podcast. In the Hayley Morcom podcast, there's a heap of episodes. There's some really interesting ones in there. I've had a little listen. I need to have more. It's funny, when you know somebody, you kind of stop listening to what they might tell you, but you expect them to tell you when you talk to them, instead of listening when all that information's already there. And we're going to talk about all things about holistic lifestyle, from nutrition, obviously, and then through to just health strategies, mindset strategies. Hayley's going to share her genius with you all. So, Hayley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. What an intro. I loved it.
Oh, you're welcome, hon. I'm very excited about this. And, we talk about on this show, a lot of architects, a lot of design, theories, and then what lights people up, what they're passionate about. And I also love to put some coaches, so whether they be business coaches, mindset coaches, I love to have them on the show as well, because those are things that I absolutely love. And then, the other odd creatives. Now, you're one of these creatives as well as being a coach. So I'm really excited to see what I'm going to learn today from you. Start us out with a little bit about who you are and where you came from. At some point, you were this little girl and somehow you ended up in a checkered path through radio and courts and all kinds of things that got you to the point where you are today. So start us out when you were really little, and what was life like as a kid? Where were you brought up?
Oh, I love that so much. Like we were just chatting before we started this podcast, there's been so many twists and turns in life, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I was a little girl in country Victoria, being raised by my dad. So I'm one of three girls. So my childhood looked like a childhood I wish my daughter has right now, and I wish many kids has. I was very fortunate, as while I had many challenges like so many people do in their childhood, getting raised by my dad and them separating quite young. I loved running around and climbing trees and making cubby houses. And talking about design, I used to design cubby houses with old curtains. I used to steal the flour out of the pantry and make little mud cakes out the back with my sisters. We used to race our little homemade boats after it rained, from the creek right down to run through our property. And it was really beautiful. We lived, a very meat and three veg kind of lifestyle, whatever my dad.
Not so many of the veg, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do, I guess it was very basic. It was the peas and the
peas and carrots.
With
maybe
Dad,
maybe some potatoes.
Yeah, that's right. Which we had to eat before we, got any kind of dessert. But yeah, it was a beautiful lifestyle. And then I guess fast forward to when I was 17, I moved out of home really young. Living in the country, I think the first thing you want to do is move out and explore life. And I was very, very, very driven from a young age. My sisters and I are all very different, and I was the driven one, always been the driven one, always wanted to do big things in life and have, while people sometimes hid behind their goals or what they wanted to do in school, I was the one that was like, I want to be an actor and I want to be a TV presenter and I'm going to do this. You just watch me. And yes, I moved out really, really young to pursue a career in journalism. And I started off at a newspaper, and it was almost 3 hours away from home. And so I packed up my little car. It was just as I turned 18 that I was doing this this broadcasting course at the time until I turned 18. And I landed this job, and it was 3 hours drive. And I packed up my little Hyundai Excel at the time. And I was like, this is how I'm going to get, this is how I'm going to get on the big screens. Like this is how I'm going to get my, to my big dreams, and packing up all my life possessions in the car and bawling my eyes out too. Like it was really, really scary moving away, not knowing anyone. But there was this job that was landed in front of me. It was a cadet journalist, and I don't even know if they're still around anymore, but it was with a newspaper. And I just trusted my gut. It's like, this is just going to get me to where I want to go. And it's obviously not the step straight into the big screen, what I wanted to do, but I just knew if I just kept plucking away at it, if I just kept putting one foot in front of the other, I would eventually get there. And being so young and not having a rental history, I remember I couldn't even get a little rental on my own. And I had to live with my dad's mate's maid at the footy club. His great grandmother lived, in this town that I was moving to in Swan Hill. And he's like, my great grandmother could do with some company, and she was in her 90s. And I rocked up in my little car one day, and we started living together until her son had a little rental for me. And I remember renting it out for $130 a week while I was doing my job, while I was working at the newspaper. And I think I always had this passion for health. There was always this little message that was always dropping into my awareness of, look after yourself. Moving out so young, I knew that I had to do everything on my own. But getting raised by my dad and my mum leaving at a young age, I think we were little housewives really young. So we were already learning how to cook. We had to clean. We were doing the ironing. We were doing all these things for dad at the time. So when I moved out, I thought, oh, I've got this. Like, I'll be able to cook and I'll be able to do all these things. But very, very quickly, I realized that I was not so great at cooking. And I would burn everything. My family would, I was kind of the butt of all the jokes around the family that Hayley burnt everything, almost burnt down kitchens. Like I couldn't cook chicken. I'd either undercook it or overly sizzle it.
Yeah.
Or I couldn't even cook 2-minute noodles. The water would just flow over everywhere. And most nights I'd end up at, some kind of fast food place where, looking at the lifestyle I live now was so very different. But I established really quickly of how it was affecting how I was feeling. So when I was having these foods and I was putting on my corporate wear to go to my newspaper job every day, I was really learning how quickly my pants didn't fit anymore. How quickly, my mood was just low, how I was feeling around that time was.
I was going to say, you actually got that it was the food.
Yeah. I knew that what I was putting in my body at that age was what was making me feel the way that I was feeling.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
But it wasn't the healthiest way to do it, because I was like, what so many people do is diet hop. So I was just like, all right, I've got to try and find the diet out here, that's going to help me get to where I want to go or how I want to feel in my body. But also being really super curious of being able to do it myself as well. So what was in my foods, how I was cooking things, and how that was having an impact on my body. I think I intuitively just knew that really early on, which, it was a bit of trial and error to get there in terms of cooking the meals.
Pretty cool though, that to get that awareness early, obviously you could, you put on the weight or you lose the weight, but feeling the lethargicness or feeling the I'm going to say energetic effect of the food and how that would shift you. That's probably like to be that aware. I don't even know that I am today, but I certainly am not like super aware with it. I play with a diet. When I say play with a diet, it means I'd eat this, not that. Just I was vegetarian for 7 years just to see what it was like. My, fiance, she was vegetarian as well. So it was really easy to be vegetarian. And now I'm keto. Yeah. So I eat plenty of vegetables. Whether I'd go carnivore or not. Maybe I'd give the lion diet a try. It sounds good. Be the lion diet for,
And what leads you to that? Is it curiosity? Is it like the new information you may have discovered that you wanted to try those?
The vegetarian one was curiosity, just to see what it was like. Just try it out. I was a pescatarian, so I'd eat fish, but that was just give something different a go. The keto one is my dad, who is 96, has, it's going to sound wrong, early onset dementia, but 96, nothing's early, is it? But he's like about the last 3 years, he sort of had dementia. He had stopped living by himself and he had to go and live with my sister and so on. And I think that really about 3 or 4 years, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, probably he did that. And I went, so what am I not doing that I could be doing? And how hereditary is it, dementia or Alzheimer's? How is it hereditary? What are the markers? And, ever since they've done that genome project in America, we're learning so much more about what our health, the data on our health really means. And I went Google, my friend, jumped on the Google machine, typed in best diet for Alzheimer's and or dementia and Alzheimer's, and it said keto. I went, cool, I'll do that. That was my research. And then I went, what does that mean? What can I eat? And for about the first 3 months, I walked around the supermarket going, can I eat that? And Google it. No, can't eat that. Put that back. Can I eat that? No, can't eat that. Put that back. Can I eat that? Yep, cool, I'll eat that.
And how long have you been doing that for?
Over 2 years.
Yeah, wow.
But it's, and I'm pretty strict. Every now and then I'm not. Like every now and then I'll go and come to your place and you go, we're having pizza, and I just eat pizza. And it's like, big deal. But for the most part, I'm pretty strict. And
I think you have to on keto, because otherwise you drop in and out of ketosis. That's the issue with
you want to stay in your ketosis state more often than not. But it's taken a bit of getting used to some things. Like, I'm more sensitive to something like MCT oil than I thought I would be. But I've listened to lots since. I've done my education while I've been doing it and doing lots of listening and lots of understanding of it. And I like the challenge of the mind game of going, no, don't do that. Yep, do that one.
Same. I love the challenge. Yeah. Like going around, I love, like if I go on holidays or something and I'll go to a new shop or a new supermarket, and I love the walking around going, oh, what brands have they got? Oh, what's this new product? Well, I haven't seen this before. And it's always flip it over and have a look at the ingredients. I'm like, oh, that ticks my, as I say to...
That one's okay.
Yeah, it ticks the food value. So, is it, for me, it's gluten-free, dairy-free and organic bonus. Like tick, tick, tick. That's all refined sugar-free.
Trifecta. Yeah,
and it's like, oh, that ticks my boxes, yes. And it's exciting because you're like, that's coming home with me. All right, what else is there? Because otherwise you just can eat anything and it's not challenging.
Yeah, you're not putting any friction in the process, and because there's no friction in the process, there's no reward. So it's like gamifying your food. So now when I go to the supermarket, I'm the same. Like the other night I was with Becky, my wife, in the supermarket, and I said to her, oh, can you look on that label for me and just tell me how many carbs it's got? And she's like, yeah. She said, do you want it? And I went, no, I just want to know how many carbs it's got. And she's like, it's got 5.4 or whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. And she goes, but you don't want it. And I went, no, I'm all good. I don't need it. I said, I just want to remember. So next time I come, I don't have to look at the label. And she goes, well, you remember that. And I went, yep.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll remember it like the price of it. I'll remember the price of it as well. And I will comparatively shop that at some point. So what I will do, I will go and look at it next time because I want to double check the ingredients. Because there's certain ingredients. No, not that part. I trust her on the numbers, but I want to see what it's made up of, what the ingredients are in it. Like, is it more this or more that? Just so that even though it might be low carb and high protein, that there's still things that I avoid.
Yes, exactly. And what is making that up? You can probably hear my dogs barking in the background right now. What is making up those numbers? Like I say, because when I used to teach how to read food labels, it was about numbers. It was about just that nutritional panel. But now it's what is in it. Because anything, food guidelines are very lax these days in terms of what they can get away with. And
very much guidelines is the word.
Yeah, like that's great that it's 0.5 sugars, but what is it? Is it natural? Is it, synthetic sugars to bring that number down? Because I would rather have something that actually has higher sugar content if it's made with dates or maple syrup or whatever it is. So always look at the ingredients and the shortest list possible and the ones that you can understand.
I like that thing. Somebody said this to me really early on in the keto thing. Somebody said to me, well, if it's got an ingredient label, take it out of your diet. And I'm like, what? And they're like, take it out of your diet if it's got an ingredient label.
Oh.
And I'm like,
even if you bake something that has ingredients.
Don't bake anything. If it's not meat or vegetable or an egg or, something like that, if it's not a whole food, then just leave it out of your diet. Don't eat it.
Yeah. But you can have whole foods together that create a food.
Yeah. Yes, you can. No doubt. We do that when we make meals. But it was a really interesting concept. So if you load your trolley up and you have just foods that are whole foods, are you going to be any worse off? No.
Yeah, that's right.
It's only like a set of ingredients. It's whatever it is.
Exactly. An apple's an apple, a banana's a banana. Yeah. As soon as you get into any of the the inner aisles of the supermarket, it can be pretty scary. But yeah, that's like I've heard people say the no barcode rule. Yeah, so yeah.
Got a barcode, you don't need it.
Yeah, if it's got a barcode. Unless it's, the avocado or...
Yeah, or the apple. Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's a whole food. But
that's really interesting, eh? It's a fascinating kind of way. And go back to the fact, I've got a couple of other questions I want to ask you that back further in the thing that you were talking about. But it's pretty interesting when you get onto this thing of like the food groups and the pieces, how quickly you can go, oh, there's a strategy, there's something, there's whatever, there's an understanding. What else do you need to look for? You're only looking deep enough. It's I find it fascinating, and I love the challenge of it, and I love gamifying it. I love gamifying, getting that thing. So it's like, oh yeah, okay, so I've got to find something with less, or okay, I've got to find something with more of this, or I've got to and I've never read a food label before that, not before keto. I would read ingredient labels because I'm allergic to honey, but that would be it. I would never look at what it was made up of. Yeah. I'd never look up what the nutritional value was. I would scout through. If you saw the word honey, don't buy that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it, I always say don't believe anything on the front because, as you know, like marketing words, big companies, they're like the buzzwords at the moment, maybe keto, paleo, sugar-free, whatever it is, gluten-free is a big one. And they just plaster them all on the front of the packet, and it's just, they make them look pretty. It's like, I never believe anything. I'm like, I don't even care what you put on the front. You can put whatever you want on the front. Just show me the back.
Yeah. Yep. They print the back small too. So make sure they do. I want to go back to, so you're one of 3 girls.
Yes.
Middle?
I'm the middle.
That's the troublemaker, right?
Cool. Middle child.
That would be it, yeah. And that your dad brought you up from what age?
12. I was 12. My younger sister was 10 and my older sister was 14. So really, really impressionable age. Yeah, so mum and dad divorced. And back then it was common for the mums to look after the children full time. But for us, it was it was a very different conversation even just in the schoolyard telling my friends, so we're staying with dad.
And did you live on a farm?
We lived on a few acres with chooks. My dad's nickname is Chook. So we had lots of chooks. So dad showed chooks. We had the eggs, and he had birds and dogs, and it wasn't technically a farm with sheep and cows, but lots of chooks.
Yeah, okay. Because unusual, sadly, or even these days, I say it's unusual to be brought up by your father, and I can't imagine the experience of that. I've got two of my own girls, and I don't even really imagine that, like I do love when Becky, my wife, is away, when she goes away for maybe a week or whatever on a retreat somewhere or something, and having, my girls to myself. And but it's like, I know I had a friend in New Zealand years ago, and his wife died, and he was bringing up his girls. He had two girls, and he was bringing them up. And just that whole journey of doing that as a male. And I remember him just telling me stories sometimes about, girl stories. And he would just be like, oh my, who would have ever thought I'd be even involved in a conversation like this or any of these things? Yeah.
Oh, we had to send dad to the supermarket to buy tampons. And, specifically or pads or whatever it was. It was very specific of dad had to go and, and purchase these things for us because we all went through puberty around, that time. And I think it was a lot for dad, a lot of hormones in the one home, a lot of fighting, a lot of arguing.
Yeah, a lot of emotional mood swings.
Yes, exactly. I don't think it was very easy for him. I think it was lucky we lived with space. Like, on acreage, dad would just walk. He'd just go for a walk. Yeah, take the dog.
Yeah.
Let everything air out and then come back an hour later.
Yeah, see if you're all still alive.
Yeah. So if we were mucking up, he would flip the trampoline over. That was our punishment. Yeah, we weren't allowed to jump on the trampoline. He'd be like, get off the trampoline, and he'd flip it over. It'd stay there for a few days.
I think, like in a lot of ways, how lucky he is to have had that opportunity. Just incredible to do that. And how lucky you girls are also to have had that opportunity to, there's a lot of male energy in that whole, being on the land as well somewhat. And it'd be really interesting. It'd be fascinating to see I was going to say the differences, not necessarily the differences, I don't know what the word is, attitudes, take on, we're in a space in the world, I reckon for the last about 15 years, we've had a massive rise in female energy in the world, which is fantastic. It needed to change to this as well. This needed to happen. And in that rise, though, we have males have got lost because they used to be able to just stand and do these things or be with these things. And so many males are lost in that rise of the female energy and of women empowering themselves and, taking care of themselves. And, where's the male person where you came from a family where you needed him at that age. So you got a very different journey.
Yeah, I'm still learning though now, having to look after myself at such a young age, and then obviously moving out of home at such a young age and doing all these things. I've actually discovered in the last few years of how much I've actually been in my masculine energy. Also, the last 5 years being a solo mum as well, like you're in that masculine role where you're doing things and you're like, go, go, go. And it's something I'm working on now, is actually dropping into my feminine and allowing, that polarity between masculine and feminine, where I've tried to do it all on my own for so long, but also fallen into that societal stand up for yourself and the empowerment and, women can do everything as well, where, now I'm softening, I'm learning to soften and to, be okay to surrender into my feminine energy, if that makes sense, because I've had to hold myself for so long, which is, it's been a journey.
Well, I imagine from sort of 17 or 18, you were doing that. You left home, and that really probably brought your masculine energy up, because
100%. Yeah.
And then, you're pushing through like your studies, you're pushing through into new jobs, you're pushing through into all these things, and you're, going home to your friend's grandmother or whatever it was. But then, so your masculine energy would have still been locked on for most of that. And then the journey of that would be really interesting, especially coming from, you not having, after say 12, a balance of a strong female energy and masculine energy in the same place.
Yeah, under the one roof, because we still saw mum, but it wasn't as much as having dad around. I think we were just forced to grow really, really quick and to just hold ourselves. And that whole that self-awareness piece, it's just been huge. Even just in the last couple of years, I think it's been really, really evident. And it's okay to release all of that from all of those years of pushing and rushing and holding on and being in that masculine. So it's something I'm working on now. That's my little project.
So how do you work on that?
Being in relationship. It's something that's, it gets highlighted very, very quickly. And particularly my partner now, he's been brilliant at that. And he's done a lot of, work on himself in that area too. And I think we both met at the most divine time of, coming together. They say you meet someone where you're at, and we've met where we're at. And myself, for example, I don't think a lot of people can relate to this, but you learn the most in relationship. And it's when we came together, it's just like, okay, we've got work to do here to be able to find that balance and to, just find that equilibrium and that masculine and feminine to have that beautiful dance, which is hard to actually achieve. There's theory there. You can read the books, you can listen to the podcasts, you can talk about it, but when you're actually in it and you're learnt to face it and to work through it, it's a different story. But it's been beautiful.
All the things that trigger you that, come from years of, and being able to recognize, or be self-aware enough to recognize that they're the trigger, and then that you can diffuse those, or and we'll blow them up. It's pretty interesting.
The triggers, your biggest learnings. And Josh has been brilliant at holding space for me while I've experienced those as well, and him as well. That's part of a beautiful partnership, and just knowing someone's going to hold space for you while you work through those is the biggest game changer. So
that's interesting, eh?
So interesting. Yeah,
I had a friend and a client the other day, and her husband was away for I think a month. Anyway, he'd gone from Africa, and he'd gone back to Africa to do some business and stuff for a month. And I was joking with her, I rang her up and was chatting to her, and I'm like, so what have you been up to? What have you been playing up? What's been going down? And she's going, I've got 4 days left. And she said, you want to see the list? She's like, today I'm going to do da-da-da-da-da, all things that she'd never do when he was there. When I say that, all things that, one of them was she was going to the movies to see some girly movie that she wanted to see, and she didn't even have anybody to go with, but she was going on her own. And she said, I'm going gold class, I'm getting a glass of wine. And just this kind of thing, which would, she was like playing with that energy thing. And I said, I've got a question for you. And she's like, what's that? And I said, how many like physical kind of things did you think you were in your list of what you were going to achieve while he was gone, haven't you achieved? And she said, so many like this. And I said, I read this thing a few years back where a woman will often say for instance, your partner's going away, they will have this list of things they're going to do, and it will be massive. These are all things that they were going to do that needed to be done. And they go, now I've got a chance because he's not here. I can just get on with this shit. Let's get this stuff. And by the time he comes back, they go, I don't know how I didn't get all those things done. And it was saying that when he's home, then his testosterone levels mean that you're planning these things and you're working around different things and all the rest, but you go, okay, now I'm going to get clear space. But then your testosterone level comes up and your estrogen level drops, and you go into all the male things that need to be done, taking care of different things that as your male energy comes up. And therefore, all the ones that were the female organizing, getting this done, that done, these things drops down, and you don't achieve what you were planning on achieving the same. And then when he comes home, you're still in testosterone because you've been running this ship. And it gave this little thing, which was, men, if you want to come home and you want your woman to be feminine and in her feminine energy when you come home, you need to let her know what time you're going to be home, and an hour out or whatever it is, you need to have messaged her to say, I'm going to be home in an hour, or I'm going to be home in an hour and a half, whatever it is. And her testosterone levels will start to slide because she knows that testosterone's coming back into the environment without her being able to control, just an emotional trigger. And I'm like, so I said to her, so I told her that story and I said, so are you going to be able to do that? And she said, well, not really, because I'm picking him up from the plane. And I said, well, maybe tell him he has to tell you what time this plane's going to land and what time, but he needs to physically tell that to you on the phone before he gets on the plane. And she said, I'll try it. Yeah. She said, I'll set him up to tell me. And I haven't heard the outcome yet. He only got home yesterday.
I love that just so much. Yeah,
it's interesting.
It is so true because you're in that doing, and then that's when you can butt heads because you're both in that testosterone. You're both in the trying to lead and trying to do all of the things. Oh, I love that.
Isn't it fascinating? I find all that stuff and just the mindset of awareness around it again. I mean, I'd never be aware of it if I hadn't heard it, and it triggered me to going, that is really interesting how, for years, I know, I'd come home from somewhere and Becky'd say, I had all these jobs I was going to do, But I never got through half of them. Can you help me with this one? Can you help me with that one kind of thing? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, of course. And then that whole thing, I heard this and I went, maybe that's what that's about.
Yeah. And it's been happening your whole life and you just have no idea until you learn it. And then you're like, wow, that information is just so powerful. And then you're aware of it, which can dilute so many triggers then. And you're like, why am I doing that?
Yeah.
Why am I did that when I started tracking my cycle as a woman. I remember for years and years and years, I was on the pill, never tracked my cycle, could not even tell you what day I was in my cycle. And I teach this to my women all the time in our program is, if you don't know what's going on as a woman in your own cycle, that you're just aimlessly walking through life and you're causing conflict. You might be about to, get your bleed and you're wondering why you despise your partner so much or why
you're ready to be divorced on that day. And
exactly. Sometimes I identified that in my friends. They'll be talking about the conflict with their partner or something. And I'm like, what day of the cycle are you on? What day? And she's like, that doesn't matter. I'm like, yes, it does. Let's talk about that because we come to the same thing every month at the same kind of day. And I almost know all my friends where they are at their cycle. Even my clients, I can identify from their behavior. And when you have that information, I've got this beautiful app and it tells me all the time, where I'm at, how I should be feeling. And I've tracked things over time. So the algorithm has got to know me so well. And I'm like, that just makes sense. That makes sense because I have that information. I know even when I'm planning my calendar with client calls or, social events or whatever it is, I look at it, I'm like, I know this week I really need to stay home, or I know I'm going to be in my winter, as I call it, when I'm about to do my bleed or have my period. And it's also information that you can then relay to your partner and be like, I am I'm aware that this is where I'm at right now. I even say to my daughter, Mummy's feeling a little tense right now. She's about to get her period. Most of the time it goes in one ear and out the other, but she's still learning that's, Mummy's in tune with her cycle and, and it's information.
So everybody has a cycle, whether they're male or female. There's some cycle that their biorhythms are working in some cycle. So what happens for men?
Well, men have a shorter 24-hour one, I believe, where women have 28 days. So what we go through in 28 days, men go through in 24 hours. And that when they first wake in the morning, their testosterone is the highest, and then they go through their waves, their ebbs and flows through the day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I find the whole thing, absolutely fascinating. I have a question that I ask a lot of people when I'm traveling with them. So I do these tours, architectural tours and feast experiences. So we eat and we look at buildings and houses and talk about emotions with that building's bring and all this kind of stuff. And with it is I love to stand in front of a building or a house, and I would say, so Hayley, masculine or feminine energy? Tell me about this house. What's it got? And so you're looking at it and going, I'm seeing the masculine, but that could mean that you're any one of those 28 days, you might only see masculine energy, maybe. I've never considered this until this moment. And then just depending on where you are in that cycle, it could be that it is all estrogen fueled. It's all
if it's during ovulation. Yeah, if it's during ovulation, the world is amazing. Like it's just like you see so much beauty, like you have so much energy rising up. And then as you that next half of your cycle, as you're approaching your bleed, things become you look at them so differently. That is so true. Your perception of life,
of environment, and and
it could the same house, that could be a beautiful study. Have someone every single day, what do you see about this now? What do you see about that now? What do you see? And you have to be in tune with your cycle. I think for a long time my body was completely out of rhythm. Like I am like textbook now. I know exactly which day, what's going on, what's happening with my energy. And also it does help when when you need space and when you're not going to be in that creative mode as well. I know certain parts of my cycle where it's really great for, creating new projects and, getting things off the ground and doing. And then there's times where it's, it's the rest, it's the calm, it's the, just maintaining, not creating anything new. It's just,
this is going to create a fascinating conversation. So ladies that are listening, and I know I have quite a few female architects that have been on the show and also that I know personally. I would love to hear from you, and so would Hayley. You're working in this environment where you're creating things of practical use and beauty with houses. And if you feel and how you feel, your vision of what those things are changes during your cycle. And if you get into more, say, analytics at one point, as opposed to into more aesthetics at another point, if that shifts, and I'm going to watch it for my own design. And guys that are listening, I'd be really keen for you to look for it in your 24-hour rhythm and see if there's something that shows up like that. So I know, like, we're doing this podcast in the late afternoon, early evening, and I very, very rarely podcast at this time. It's a rare thing.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, I do mine all very early in the morning when in my biorhythms and most people's, I'm in analytics, and my guest is often in the afternoon because I interview a lot of people in America. And that means that they're in creative. They've gone through their slump of the day and they're in creative now, whereas I'm in analytics, which means that I find it easier to keep on track. So I biohacked myself today for this.
What did you do? Sauna, ice bath?
I did a sauna and then I did bare feet. I'm in bare feet now. And I did a bit of a walk around in the garden in bare feet. So I spent more than 10 minutes outside in bare feet in nature, and I came out of a sauna to do it.
Yeah, wow. Well, usually I would have blue blocking glasses on right now, but not wearing those. But I love that. I love that you did that because it's usually rest and digest, right? It's winding down. It's usually it's very low lighting in here, but that's not good for Zoom.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a little bit different for me too. But I love that you did that.
Kind of interesting, eh? I went, yeah, set that up. I set it up from about lunchtime. I went, okay, yeah, I need to do that. I need to set this up because otherwise will be rest and digest. I'll be in the rest mode and
yeah,
kind of crazier than I always am.
But as the women architects, were you saying when should they lean on more of their creativity? Is that where you're?
Well, maybe is there just a pattern that they see that they do?
Yeah.
And like, I mean, groups of women, if they're all working in the same office, will all end up with their cycles syncing. Maybe not, but a lot of the time that happens. And if that's the case, does the office find that they have really productive time? So I've got some of the girls that I've had on the podcast, they are all female officers. And, they only have females in their office. So does that mean that they go, well, in week whatever, we can smash this out, but nobody does a sales call in week whatever.
Yes. So I would say if you know your cycle, day 1 to 5, which is usually your bleed, it's, it's clearing the calendar. It's like I say, it's called the winter. It's really just doing what you need to do. It might be having a list. It's like, okay, I'm going to tick that. I'm going to tick that. I'm going to tick that. I'm doing not the bare minimum, but I'm just nurturing myself and I'm just doing like, I'm just, that's me this week. So I've just been slowly ticking. I've just been going, like, okay, I'm going to do that now. All right, I'm going to send this email now. That's like during your bleed. As soon as you hit that, like day 6 and onwards, like day 6 to before you hit ovulation. So around that day, anyway, from day 10 to 14, that's when that energy starts to rise. And that's when you're in that creative flow. So that's when you want to grasp a hold of that. It's like so
it'll be a great time to start a new project.
Yes.
It'll be a great time to go and talk to a client about their wish list and things like that and brainstorm with them. It'd be a great time to be on the land. And I do land whispering, but whispering that land and feeling it under your feet and sitting consciously with it. It's when all your creative juices like.
Yeah. And then that ovulation, that's when a woman is just most connected to herself. She's in the flow. You'll even notice that she might dress a little bit different. So she might have, been in baggy clothes or just black clothes during her period. And then it's like during ovulation, she's wearing flowy and feminine, more goddessy kind of clothing because you're just feeling yourself, like you're just feeling in the flow of life. And yes, you might view those houses differently, as you were saying. And then you really want to grasp a hold of that because then you hit that luteal phase again, which is the phase right at the end of your cycle, right before you hit the menstruation again. So you really, and that's a winter that's coming. That's usually the most tension. That's usually when arguments occur in the household. That's when the thing that's the loud chewing that your husband was doing last week is now annoying you this week. And you're like, why is everything annoying me? And, but during ovulation, that may have been a turn on. And then now it's not. It's like the opposite and it's so annoying. But it's just that information going that I know where I'm at.
That's pretty fascinating. It's pretty fascinating. And it would be really fascinating, as I say, I would so love listeners and anybody who's watching to come in and, give us feedback. Tell us what you see and what you don't see with that. And, we can get Hayley back to talk about each of it. Give us case studies if you want that we can question, or come on the show with Hayley and, and talk about it, or go on Hayley's show and talk about it because it's so fascinating. I have this thing that I call the emotional floor plan, and now it's just out the window. I don't know that I can say when I ask women these questions, can you tell me where you're at in your cycle? And they've got to tell me, and I go, oh, yeah, don't worry.
I'll ask you another time.
Yeah. I'll ask you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Whereas with men, I could probably pretty much ask them anytime and they're going to give me an answer. I'm going to do this with you. Let's do it now and then we'll come back to the thing. I want to do this with you.
Okay.
So, Hayley, first of all, you need to tell us where you're at in your cycle,
I'm at day 3
which means,
in my bleed.
oh, okay. So
Yeah. You're lucky you got me in this interview.
I love it. So that means that in your
No, day 2. I'm day 2.
day two, so day 2 or 3 means that where's your hormones at? What's happening? Are you in the high or the mid, the low, what's happening? You're doing the clean out. You're doing the clean. Yeah.
It's the nurturing phase. So I actually do. Yeah. So I was even thinking about this today. I know by Friday this week, I'll be feeling really good. I'll be back out into the community. Like at the moment, I'm nurturing, I'm going within, I'm in my little winter. I'm shedding.
By Friday, you'll be dangerous.
I'll be, not quite. We give it to like day 10 to 14. It'll be really like my energy will start rising, but I'll start feeling really good again. Like I'll go, so I don't really run. I'm a runner, but I don't really run during this week, but I will start picking the pace up at the end of this week. Lots of walking and slower movement this week.
Let's get into that as well. So first of all, we can do this now, and I want to review this.
Okay, let's do it.
About 10 days. Your favorite place in your own home?
My favorite place. We've just moved, so this home is very different, very new. I do love my desk space.
If you want to go to your previous home, you can, because you've just moved, but your choice. I don't mind.
I'd have to say my bedroom.
Your bedroom?
Yeah.
And what emotion does your bedroom evoke for you?
It's a sense of calm and security. It's very simple, simplistic.
And with it giving you a sense of calm and security, when does it give you that feeling the strongest? Like, when do you go there for that? I'm sure you're not sitting in it all day long.
No. As in what time, like what time of the day, or when time do I start?
And time of day. When do you need it most, and when do you seek it out?
When I need a reset, particularly if I'm like stimulated with my daughter yelling and, I just need a reset. It'd be like when I'm going to the bathroom or something like that. It's just that sense of like, it's quiet, it's calm. It's like my little Zen space, or I should say our Zen space.
Yeah, but it is your Zen. It's both of yours, but it's your Zen space. I'm not worried about. That's his problem. Right now, I'm worried about you, or not worried about, but I'm intrigued to as that gives you your space. Does it feel the same if Josh is there too?
Depending how I'm feeling, if I want to be around company.
Security.
Yes.
And with that, what does it shift in you when you get that space where you're calm and you feel secure?
What was that, sorry?
What does it shift in you? What does it allow you when you suddenly, if you're feeling anything, you go, just go to your room, and at that point then you can go, just breathe out. What does that allow you to do, be, feel?
Just to reset and not think, like just, kind of silence all the thoughts for a moment, or the to-do list.
And if you didn't have your bedroom to do that in, where would you go?
I've been thinking about this lately because we have moved, and I usually have a workout space, and I don't really have it in this home. That would usually be my favorite space, is my workout space, but I'm still navigating where that is at the moment, because that's where I have a lot of connection to myself. My mind-body connection is on my mat. So yeah, that would be my first point of call, but I'm saying my bedroom because I don't really have that at the moment. So if I didn't have that space, where would I go, or how would I feel?
Where would you choose to go in your home to get that feeling? You need the feeling.
It would be my journaling chair. Right. I've got a journaling chair. I've been carting it around for a while. It would be my journaling chair. Yeah. It's a little nook next to the bookshelf currently. It's this beautiful old chair that I've had since my daughter was little, and it's very old.
Was it a feeding chair?
It was a feeding chair. It was a rocking chair, and then it came with the actual legs. So the legs got put on it. It's very old now. I actually do want to replace it. I'm eyeing off these other ones that feel that I really align with. But it would definitely be that space that I'd go to.
So if we were developing an emotional floor plan for you, we know that you need a space. And currently in this home, it is that calm space, which is your bedroom, and the security space of that. And it doesn't seem to make too much difference whether Josh is in there with you or not. It's obviously the energy he brings doesn't disrupt that energy. Probably brings more security to it, I imagine.
Yeah. If he's not working from there, if he's not working from the bedroom.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if he's present.
If he's present, yeah.
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 Okay. And then otherwise that journaling chair is really important, that space, because and then you'll use your workout space because, again, it's solitude.
Yeah.
It's you.
And that's just currently in front of the journaling chair at the moment.
Right.
So yeah.
So when we're designing a house, what we're looking for is where we create. There's other emotions that we're going to look for in a home as well. I'm just asking you for one of your favorites here. And part of that is working out when it's your favorite as well, because often these spaces are transitional spaces. But then who it allows you to be and who it allows you to become when you've had that time is what we're looking for in a home. And then when we can start to create that with the architecture, the form of the home as well. Like I would dig into, what height's the ceiling? Where's the light come from? What's the furnishings around you? How does that make you feel? What annoys you about it? What doesn't annoy you about it? But I've got to get that on the right day of the month. What is those different pieces? And then we know how to start designing a home to nurture you.
I love that. I would just throw in there as well how I feel in a space if it's very low tox. I'm always looking at how a space feels, particularly the bedroom, because I'm very diligent about the lighting in the bedroom. Right. So it's very, very intentional at night. So it's no LED lights. It's all red. So I've got red light. Mm-hmm. Red light reading lamp. I've got a red lamp in there. I've just bought a red globe actually, and then I realized I bought the wrong size. So I would love to be able to replace a globe in the bedroom, but it's got a big thing, a big component of health and in a space.
Talk to me about the red light.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, red light blocks out any blue light. So at night, as the sun goes down, we want to be mindful of our blue light exposure. So that's anything from TV screens, LED lights, computer screens.
Phone screens.
Yeah. It's so many screens. It's, reducing those as much as possible. Studies have shown that our melatonin levels can be blocked by as much as 50% at night because we're exposed to these lights. So basically it's telling our bodies that it's daytime and that we need to produce more cortisol to, be doing throughout the day. But we want to be in that rest and digest, and we need less light exposure. And having these bright lights, which I know now, even just having them to do this podcast, it can prolong sleep as much as 2 hours just being exposed to this kind of light. Yeah. So
can you go? No, go.
Oh, you go.
I was going to say, can you biohack that?
Yes, with red lights. So, reducing your blue lights and having red lights as much as possible. And you can buy so many different, you can get around it so well these days. We have so much access to red lights, devices. Even on my phone screen, it's down. It's on night mode. My laptop goes down and reduces all the blue light. It's one of the biggest things that you can improve your health and your mental health and your emotional health so much these days. And it's something I'm super excited about. I'm always talking about it with Josh, who is a builder. And, since we've come together, I'm always now talking about I might mention something about the, red lights. I'm really diligent. I'm only low lights in the bedroom. And then, so now he will, we're always talking about, our dream home or building and how would the lights look in there and how we could implement that. How can you have red lights already in your home and not have to worry about this and have control over the environment more so.
There's actually a lighting system made by Lutron, which is an American lighting company, which it tracks what's happening outside. Yes. And as it tracks what's happening outside, it tracks the amount of kelvins that the LED lights are emitting. And it shifts those, not in the moment, but over a gentle thing so that it starts with morning light. So it shifts all the tone of your lights all day long, all the way through until it gets to dark. And then it will bring in all that red light that last piece of red light. And then also they talk about the not having all the lights falling on your head, but down lower. So they're down at lower levels in the home. But they have a system that, as I say, it's actually reading what's outside the window and it's rolling with that as well, purely for your circadian rhythms. And so that you feel connected to the outdoors. And we often use skylights in homes for this reason as well, so that during the day you are getting that light falling on you. And even at night you get moonlight falling on you. And that has a really positive aspect to it as well.
I love that. That is so amazing. That is an area that I'm diving into a lot at the moment. Just, it's so funny. And I was saying this to my partner Josh recently. You could go past and look at the most beautiful homes. Like, I love looking at homes, and obviously he does too. And I always just look at these like amazing, like beautifully designed homes. And it's funny how perception, because what you're interested in, it's funny because when I look at it, I'm like, that is a stunning home. But I'm like, how healthy is it? How healthy is it? Does it have really good lighting? What's the water filtration system like? Like, how does it have a
what's it built out of?
Yeah, what kind of like materials? This exactly. What kind of paint has been used? What kind of materials and glues and all of those things? Because you can have the most stunning home, as you know, but if it's not supporting your well-being, then your health is wealth. So you can have all the wealth and the riches out there, but your health is wealth. So, that to me, that is a dream home. That is a dream home where things like you were just saying, those systems. And this is what, I think Josh and I coming together now, this is something of our future. Like he runs Effort Constructions, and it's something we're always talking about is like, how can we create this like our dream home and help others with their dream homes, but how can we make it like healthy? How can we make it like, last night I was going to bed and I was switching the last light off, and I said, do you know that you have to keep your exhaust fan on for 20 minutes after you have a shower to reduce mold? So it's like constantly sucking up the moisture. And he's like, really? So he was looking up, like, is there a exhaust fan with a timer on it for 20 minutes? Like, more people need to know this, because this is the future. More people will be interested in this. And also having that education, if you didn't know it, when you learn something, you can't unlearn it. So when you know it, you're like, okay, now I need that.
You need to do something with the education you have.
Yeah.
Well, on the podcast, I've got Paula Baker-Laporte a couple of times, Sarah Dakota, Trisha Love. These guys or these ladies are all building biologists, and they talk about the materiality of a home. So what are the EMFs? What are the VOCs?
Yes.
What's the polarity of a home? What's happening? How are we dragging? What are we doing? What's it built out of? What's that doing? Because if it's not nurturing our health, it's probably stealing from our health.
Exactly.
People don't realize what carpet's got in it. Wool carpet has got wool in it. Yeah, but then what else has it got in it? What are the glues? What are those things? What's that carpet underlay got in it?
Yeah. And it can emit gases for years.
Soaked in concrete. Yeah, just all these things. Yeah. I've just got 2 podcasts coming out in the next month or so, one on rammed earth and another one from Firewall, which is about rammed earth. And rammed earth, just out of interest, you're talking about that mold thing. Rammed earth keeps a humidity index of between 40 and 60. Mold grows at over 60. So it will regulate your building for you by the materiality of the building, and it will absorb the moisture into it, and it will expel the moisture, but it won't let it go over 60.
That's
so
amazing.
It won't go moldy.
Yeah, I had an amazing expert on my podcast. She was all about mold because she almost died from mold exposure. She didn't realize that her home was actually causing this, incredible amount of illness in her body. And now it's become her career. But it's so, oh my gosh, it's a silent killer, really.
What was the episode?
It was around, I can't remember what number it was. It was with Amy Skilton.
Amy Skilton. Right.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And she offers some little courses as well around it, because it literally changed her life.
Well, where we live here, you don't live far from me. We live in a high humidity zone.
Yeah.
And for my listeners in Austin, Texas, you do not live in a high humidity zone, even though you think you may, compared to us. We live in a more like Florida zone where mold's prevalent. Like, it's something that we live with. We have a lot of organic matter as well. And we're coastal here, so we also end up with a fair bit of salt in our air, which means that it stays moist. Those salt particles land in our homes, and then they attract moisture like salt does. So we have those things that we not battle with, but we have to design to mitigate in our climate here. And so building biology is really, really important when it comes to that materiality. There's some very, very cool things. If you my podcast, if you go and listen to Carmen Kenny from Mineral Fox and talk about natural renders that are clay-based, not cement-based, and how they breathe naturally with the home and how they also change the acoustics in a home.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And it's just a snowball, isn't it? Like, once you start learning this, and then it's just, and like, as you would know, like, this is what you live and breathe. It's just, it's so exciting. Like, I love it. Because back in the day, and like I was saying, when I was back at 17, 18 and, eating out at McDonald's most nights when I was burning my food, I was not looking at this part of health. I was using really harmful chemicals and cleaning products and skincare and makeup, and I was trying to do really good for my body and putting food in that I thought was good, and which was probably not, far from, overly processed foods, but, looking at exercising. But all of this was just the missing piece. And it's just, and I teach this to women as well, when they go on the journey through my program, Naturally Well, it's this beautiful journey of rewiring all their thoughts and beliefs, and they learn about food and moving their body. And then it's like, now you feel really good. Now you feel really in alignment with who you are, and you're feeling really vibrant and vital. It's like, how can you adapt your home to then support that? Because all of a sudden you start looking at your home differently when you're feeling really good, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is actually undoing so much of my work. Like, I want a home that actually complements the life that I've now built. And I've got a coaching call with the girls in the morning, and the first thing we do when we connect in a call is we actually close down our eyes and do a lot of vision work. And it's always, how do you feel from the moment you open your eyes in the morning? What do you see around you? How do you feel in your body? What does your home look like? What does it feel like? How is the sun coming in through the window? How are the blinds? Are they soft, curtains, whatever it is? And it's like how you navigate through your environment. And it's so beautiful, because when you create that's, if you can see it and put it in your awareness and you have it in your vision, it is yours. Like, we are beautiful, like, manifestors in this world. If you can see it, it is yours. So you have to see it first and feel it.
Love that. I love that. It's so true. It's so true. As you say, we're manifestors. We need to see it in our mind first.
And that's obviously what you create too. Like, you create that vision and that picture.
I try to get the vision and picture from them and the land. So my goal is what's the land asking me for? And then what's the client asking me for? And there's going to be regulations we have to deal with and things as well. But then what's the client asking me for? And how does that land and my interpretation of that vision, how do those two come together to take them on a journey of discovery? It's like coaching somebody. They don't know what they don't know, and how we release that information to them to get them on this journey of discovery, so that we can just, keep bringing it back to it's going to be a built structure. But the journey of discovery is like I was doing with you, with where's that calm, where's that space, where would that have to be? And we could get right into what time of the day, what the light has to be like, where with this sunlight, how long a vision you need, how short a vision you need. Do you need a long view, short view? Do you need to be high? Do you need to be low? Would you feel more secure with something more behind your back? Would you feel more secure with a lower ceiling or a higher ceiling? What would that environment shift like to allow you to really nurture your mindset in that space?
because you're reducing the friction point. And because when you have that feeling and you know the experience it's going to give you, you don't have that friction point there. Like I love that. That's so beautiful.
Do you know, I always think of this a lot, like this is me being, maybe just being me. I was going to say being a boy. Whoops, being a boy, I don't know. But I love driving, and I drive a manual car.
Oh, do you?
Yep, 100%. Because it gives me something that I just love. I love the friction of changing gear. I love the fact that I'm actually controlling that part of it. I love going to the racetrack. I love driving on the track and, pushing myself to be conscious, to make the right decisions. And there's a consequence if you don't get it right. One of the things with that is every day, and I mean every day, I'm looking for somewhere to drive to.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it so much. I enjoy it. And I'll often be on the phone when I'm in the car, but otherwise I have sometimes music playing. Sometimes I just want to hear the engine.
Yeah.
And
because that's an aligned value of yours. You're living in alignment with, that's obviously something you're so passionate about. That's what I say with health. You've got to adapt your life to be in alignment with that. You have to enjoy it. So you're not going to go out and do a workout that you literally despise every day. If you're doing boxing or CrossFit or whatever it is, and you actually don't like that and you enjoy it, but it actually feels really good in your body to do dancing or whatever it is, running. And that's what you're going to lean into, because it brings you joy and it feels really good. And like you said, you look for excuses to actually go and do it, and you're eliminating all that friction point that's stopping you. And I think a lot of people fall into that trap. They do what they think they need to do and not what actually feels right for them. So.
I will find the windiest way to drive somewhere. So I've got the most gear changes and preferably the quietest road so that I'll speed or whatever as well. But so that it's more of a challenge to drive, because there's an excitement in it. There's an excitement in doing it. And, it's interesting. Like we all have these things, like you say, I was thinking of Josh, and he's a big wave surfer. I'm like in awe of anybody who would go in that big a surf, that it's a mind game. And we were talking about it on the weekend, him and I, just about how you control your mind and you control your physical self to create the outcome that you're looking for. And you can only get so much control. And then the rest is up to what happens to the environment. And we were talking about that and how, you've got to live with a level of that uncertainty and danger to keep, I do, to keep ourselves alive. It keeps us valid. All certainty is boring. All uncertainty is very unrestful.
Yeah. And that's just life, isn't it? Like they say the ocean is very, you can adapt that to life, what you learn there. And I think he's very driven and he likes the challenge and he likes overcoming things like you do too. I can tell that's why you guys get along. You have that part of you that likes the challenge. And I guess I do too. And going back to what we were just saying, even just the way you choose your food, you like the challenge. Like you gotta find what feels good. Like you like the challenge of that. And so do I. Like I love the challenge of that. Like I hate the fact of just doing something because it's easy. Yeah. It's like you've got to find that challenge that's going to fulfill you.
I think so. Like we were talking before about when there's a little bit of friction in a process, you feel like you've been rewarded for feeling the friction. Otherwise, there's no reward.
Yeah.
The reward doesn't, if it comes too easy, it's not got enough value. And so just putting a bit of friction in the process makes it more valuable. And I've got, tons of friends who go, I don't know why you drive that car. I just don't get it. It's like, and I've got another mate, and he has a number of cars, and one of them's a McLaren, and he drives most of the time 1970 something Porsche, which is nowhere near the power of the McLaren, nowhere near the the smoothness, the supercarness, and all the rest. But you work to drive it.
Yeah.
You work to drive it, and he's
that reward.
He loves the reward. The reward is worth everything. But he can get, you can get in the McLaren, which is, so many people say dream car, but the reward comes from driving the old Porsche that it demands a bit from you.
I think it's a certain type of brain though, isn't it? Like, I think we understand that. I feel like we've got a very similar mindset around that. But a lot of, people in society these days, they want just the easy way. They don't want that friction, or they want something that's, particularly when I work with women with diets and things like that, they just want things right now. But if only we all had that mindset of having that reward at the end for doing something that's a little scary. Because I don't know, like with the surfing, like I think that sometimes with Josh, I'm like, it's just wild. Like it's just wild. But like he likes that challenge. I have other things that I like challenge. I like long runs.
Yeah.
I'll get to the 10K mark and I'm like, I've got this. Like I've got to keep pushing through, and it's really, really challenging. But I just automatically picture when I'm back home and I've had a shower and I've put my clothes on and I'm feeling really good for the day, like just that feeling that's in your body for the rest of the day. But it comes back to individuality. This was late for me, 7:19.
It is that though, it's that individual. What drives you as the individual, finding your own juice,
what makes you tick. Like for you it's striving, but for me I that's not something that would drive me, literally. And it just comes down to what works for you. You've got to lean into that.
And challenging, like I love my design. I love the challenge of the design. Like if it's too easy, I'm not bored with it. Just it's too easy for it to become mechanical, and then I go, okay, Adrian, that's not good enough. Everything I do, I go, it's not good enough. Go again. Give yourself, even though I've got the solution, maybe, I go, give yourself a tighter parameter. Have it in your mind, create a client that asks for this. And, oh, shit, I can't do that. Yeah, I can. Yeah, you can. Work it out, And that's fun. That's fun to go, yeah, okay, well, what happens if I do that? What happens if I did have to flip it back to front? What happens if I have to put an angle in it? What happens if how would that work? And that's, again, it's the drive to be rigorous, to challenge myself.
Have you always been like that?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Always in my life, I've been very... I always believe that I can outwork somebody else, but outwork them isn't just time. It's outthink them. I might not be the smartest. I might not have the most academic, or I might not have that piece, but I can challenge myself so much that they won't see where it comes from, that they can't see how I get to where I'm coming from. And I'm dyslexic and ADHD, so the ADHD falls right into that category so easily. The dyslexia is one that comes from the imposter syndrome, I think, of being, I've got the most beautiful school reports that say, basically, why am I at school kind of thing, why would you bother? This, you never do anything and all that. And that has been, it's always driven me to go, you know what? Like when somebody says, this is me, when my defense is up, when somebody says, I say to Hayley, so Hayley, how do you spell when naturally would be a word? And you go, well, naturally, like this. I go, I didn't ask how to say it, I asked how to spell it. Do you know how to spell it? And I don't do this. I'm not that defensive anymore, but I used to. I'd say, I didn't ask you how to say it. I asked you, do you know how to spell it? And could you tell me, please? And even then, because I'm working with my hands, I have to try and separate two pieces in my mind, the listening and the writing at the same time. So I'd say, oh, can you just do that bit again? Can you just slow down? And because of that, and always feeling disadvantaged because of that, in the sense of the other people would be like snap, 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 snap with things, those things, I go, okay, so where can I outdo them in another behavioral sense? So
Yeah.
then, when it comes to like, if somebody says to me, why don't you just do that spreadsheet, I go, why don't you just draw a house? Yeah, it's going to be 3 stories on this slope with these parameters.
It's the and that's that self-awareness piece, because how many people wouldn't realize that, like, you're identifying that you have that belief and you have that thing instilled in you because of the way you were brought up, the way that you've,
environment.
Yeah. And you're aware that you overcompensate in other areas because of it, which, once you have that self-awareness to it, I'm the same. Like, I can be like a perfectionist at times, and I've had to learn, or why do I want that? Why am I chasing that? Why do I actually need that? And it will be stemmed from something that I'm like trying to overcompensate from my childhood or whatever it is, and being like, it's okay. Like, done is better than perfect. Like, it's okay. It's like that. It's self-compassion, like, being compassionate to ourselves and being okay with ourselves and not always proving a point to other people as well. And I think what you were saying there can be something that you're proving points to other people too. And we all do that.
I think that mine was a big reaction to proving a point to other people.
Yeah.
And if say, for instance, a spreadsheet's tricky for me to do, but it's easy for you to do. And if I'm feeling that I'm not good enough because I can't do it, then my reaction would be, right, okay, I'm going to give you a task that you can't do. Let's see how you go.
So it's that not enoughness come in, which we all have that.
We do, but controlling it and not letting your ego get out of control with that.
That's it.
Rest. I think I spent many years doing that, like deliberately just fucking with the process so that people, so that people would be, they couldn't, if I brought them into my environment, they couldn't excel.
Yeah.
So I'd take them out of their environment where I couldn't excel. I'd drag them into my environment where they couldn't excel. And then I would, push them.
Yeah. But look at you knowing, being aware of you doing that, how many people would go through life without, and I help women with that all the time, that this perfectionist piece or the things that they feel that they need to achieve in life because of, whatever it was. And, being okay with just life being a little messy, or, particularly when we're looking at like the way they eat or the way they live, or, the way they're in their body, particularly, it's like, how do we break down those? How do we identify those stories and then rewrite them? How do we rewrite those stories?
So to do this for me, take me through what you do as a coach. Like, so somebody comes to you, what happens next?
From the start?
Yeah, take me, somebody's got some kind of issue or problem or something that they want to improve. Well, I wouldn't say it's necessarily an issue or problem. They may just say, I want more from life, or I think that I need some help to get to, you tell me. And then what happens?
Yeah, I love that so much. And it's definitely changed and evolved over the years. And I've developed a program 12 months ago that really encapsulates everything that I've learned from the moment I was telling you about before, right up until now. And it's definitely, it looks a lot different than what it used to years ago. And it is that holistic approach to life. So looking at in all aspects, and women that I work with, whether they've lost themselves through motherhood or they've been brought up with, certain beliefs about their body, or, binge restriction cycle with food or whatever it is. I think we start right at the very beginning, and it is getting clear on what it is you actually want in life. And I think some women automatically go, give me the diet plan and give me the exercise plan. Like, that's all I want. That's all I'm going to feel better. But it's like, what do you actually want, and how do you want to feel in life? And we get super clear on that. And like I was saying in that meditation I take the girls through, we really create that picture of what does a day look like, and it's like, design your day. It's like, what are you doing from the moment you open your eyes, and how are you navigating through your day? And that can be the biggest eye opener for a lot of women. They've never done that work before. They would never know what they want out of life. And then from there we break down, okay, what are some goals out of that we can pluck out of that? Like, we reverse engineer it and go, to get to that, what are those goals that you would need? Then from that, it's like, what beliefs do you need to believe about yourself to actually get there? Are you trying to achieve this body or this size or this lifestyle, but you're actually sabotaging yourself because you believe that you fail at everything. You believe that you are not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you're whatever it is. You've been taking these stories through life, which are actually been hindering why the diet doesn't work, why all of the you never stick to the workout plan or whatever it is. And we start then breaking down the layers of actually creating this life. And some women that come in and been like, I just want the weight loss or whatever it is, they discover really quickly they get the weight loss, but it's because they're actually starting to live the life that they're in alignment with. They start feeling really good. They start breaking down those beliefs, and they start, naturally turning to really good foods. They start naturally waking up earlier and wanting to do these things, and then the weight comes off. And I just take them on this beautiful journey from there. We look at lots of aspects. How does your body react to certain exercises? What feels really good to do? And, things that come up in the meantime, like maybe they have, like, it's 3:00 in the afternoon and they've still got that sugar addiction or whatever it is. We start looking at that. Okay, is it something nutritionally? Is it a behavior that you've done throughout the day? Is it stress? Is it, is a trigger that's come up there? We start, then breaking down those pieces as well. And then, like I was saying before, then we start looking at environment and things like that as well as we go through the journey. But one of the things that I was just discussing with you before we were chatting is one way to do that. And if you're listening right now and you want to take something from this and how you can actually start creating that life, is to create a life script.
Yeah, and tell me about that.
Yeah. This is so super powerful. And if you use AI or ChatGPT, you can use its assistance to help you here. And it's basically plucking out, like I was saying, you have this vision, but you're not really sure, what it looks like. It's actually getting in touch with how your day pans out. Getting in touch with how you want to feel throughout your day and how that day looks. So basically, it's a script that you read out every single morning and every night before you go to sleep. And it's rewiring your belief systems, and it's that beautiful neuroplasticity in our brains that, sometimes we don't know the difference between a vision and reality. Like, our body can feel from words and can feel with storytelling. And then when we start reading our life that we wish for it to look and feel, we start aligning with it. So we start feeling it, and it's all about bringing out that feeling in life. So, you start from literally, mine starts at, yes, I wake I need to get back to, it's currently 5 a.m., but mine starts with, it's 4 a.m. and I wake up feeling light and lean in my body with a deep sense of calm and ease in my mind. I'm excited for the day ahead. I roll over in our big, comfortable bed to see Josh lying next to me, my rock, my dream partner. And then I explain a little bit around that. And then where your environment comes in, it goes into, I quietly head downstairs to start my morning ritual of journaling and meditation. Our home overlooking the water is stunning, modern sanctuary. It's light filled, calm, clean and airy, a reflection of both our styles. It radiates a sense of zen and is thoughtfully designed to support our health and well-being. And then I talk about sliding into my workout gear and then moving my body to, I do Tracy Anderson, who's an American fitness trainer. I've been doing her work for like 12 years. And I do that in our wellness space, the space that I was telling you before that is missing out of our home. And, we also have a studio that features an ice bath and an infrared sauna. See how you can start picturing that? Like, you could almost picture my day.
Yeah, I could draw it for you now.
Exactly. And then I go through the day, like how that looks when my daughter wakes up. I've gone for a run before that, and then it's dropping her off at school. How does she feel in her nervous system? How do I feel in my body? What am I wearing? I come home and then what am I doing? What is my routine looking like? And you start creating that life. So you've gone from something that's so overwhelming that you don't know what your goals are to then creating this dream ideal day. Your day is not going to look like that every single day, but you kind of pluck and pull bits of every part of your life area into that day. So, if it's a dream car that you want to drive, you just kind of drop that in.
You would drop it in there.
Yeah. And then it's like, well, what kind of job do I want? You drop that in there somewhere. The people that you run into every day, the environment, like we described, the home. And basically, you read that in the morning, and then at night you can turn it into a sleep track. And basically, as we're going off into that subconscious mind, as we're drifting off to sleep, our brains are really receptive to that rewiring, that neuroplasticity, like we were saying, that rewire. If you think of your brain like you've got dirt tracks and you've got big highways and you've got little roads in between. If you've got like a limiting belief that's overpowering and it's a big highway, you basically want to bring that down to a dirt track, and you want those dirt tracks, those empowering, beautiful beliefs like I am worthy and I am wealthy and I am successful and I am, healthy and lean and light in my body. You want to create those little tracks into big highways in your brain. So you start believing that. And when you start, flexing that muscle over and over again, that's what you naturally attract into your life. It's pretty magical. It's pretty amazing.
Repetition to the subconscious mind. It's marketing and advertising 101.
Exactly. For yourself.
For yourself. It's telling your own story, writing your own script.
So the sleep track is actually your voice. So they say your brain is most receptive to your own voice. So you
record it.
I've recorded it, and Josh has got one as well. And so we've both recorded ours, and I've put it to a bed of meditation music, and we play it. So you can even you can play it in your car throughout the day, whether it's at night, you're about to drift off to sleep, you can do it then. I like to listen to mine during the day, actually. Josh listens to his as he's going to sleep. And then
do you get to listen to his while he's going to sleep as well?
Yes. Well, he plays his out loud. So I do hear his. He doesn't have headphones. I don't play mine, but he plays his. And I mean, it's really beautiful because both of our life scripts, we've actually got them written so they overlap with each other. So there's certain parts, just say we go on a date night, he's got his written in there, and then mine is in there as well. So I mention the date night in there, or in the afternoon I'm making a beautiful healthy snack in the kitchen for the family, and he's written that in his, and then mine's in there, so it actually marries up, which is
that's pretty interesting. I do my wish lists for clients. I say, so if it was you and Josh, I'd say, okay, Hayley, here's your wish list document, and it tells you some specifics of how to do it. And then Josh, here's your one, same list. Now do it as if you're completely separate, this is your wish list. It's not her wish list. You don't need to consider her, or you don't need to consider him. What did I say before? You don't worry about him with that calmness thing. Don't worry about him. That's not about him right now. And then I say, now bring those two wish lists together. And with those two wish lists together, start to overlap and start to see what the priorities were for each other. Not what was his priority for you or your priority for him. What was your own individual priorities? Now let's see how they layer together. And when they layer together, we want to see where the conflicts are and where this is a conflict for this, because this is a point to design to. This is, how do we get you both what you need out of this design? It's the same kind of thing, but then you're layering that next track, which is kind of your combined track for a home.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, that's right. We both want a wellness space, but he's might have a different, workout area because he uses different equipment, and I just need some ankle weights. So, but we've both got the sauna and the ice bath in there, so it comes together.
Yeah, I totally get this. I've got a client, and they want a wellness space, and so I'm designing them. It's actually it's two wellness spaces and a lap pool. So in the middle there's a sauna, and then there's it's dug into the ground as well, so it's a bit unusual. You come underground to it, and it looks out over
beautiful
a view into trees and stuff. But on the right hand side is his space, which has got like cycle, boxing, all sort of like active, heavy male type energy. And on her space, it has yoga, Pilates, different stretching exercise kind of things. And as I say, there's sauna in the middle. There's actually an ice bath area as well. And then there's a lap pool out the front of it that it looks onto. Now, those two areas can be separated completely. he walks into her area and goes to his. She can open the door and go and do his area as well, and he can do her area. But the two energies stay completely separate in how they're set out.
Oh my gosh, that's why you're designing our house and Josh is building it.
But that thing, so that what happens is he knows not to bring that his heavy, like, that aggressive kind of energy that he wants to burn into her space. So he passes through her space. And then she was the one who prescribed it. And then he has that space over here and she has the space here. And they actually very deliberately look east, west and stuff like that as well. There's some other stuff that's baked into it. But in it means that she can pull out her masculine energy and go in there and hit the punching bag and, do these things that she enjoys as well. For the most part, she wants to be in her feminine energy of strength, not her masculine energy of strength. So she wants to empower her feminine self and build that and keep that strong, where he will be in his masculine energy, from business to wellness and beyond. And he gets to glide through her feminine energy space and come into it and be gentle with that and bring out his feminine strength and energy as well.
So beautiful.
So fabulous to find these journeys.
That's right. Yeah. And like, as we were talking about, that would change for her as well throughout her cycle. Like,
I know. You've ruined that for me.
No, it's enhancing it. It's enhancing
well, she would probably use his space more sometimes.
Exactly. She would. Like, yeah, when she's like coming out, she's, rising when, maybe day 6 onwards, she's feeling that need to lift heavy weights and to feel really empowered and
to feel strong.
To feel really strong. Feminine. Yeah, I love that. And then she might, go into her winter and be a little bit more nurturing in, 2 weeks' time. So.
Yeah, and nurturing of herself and, and part of the thing of it being semi-underground, so the roof is dirt. So it's got the soil roof it's dug in, and the journey of it is into the ground and through out to then the vision. But it's very private, but yet it's fully glass on 2 walls and 2 walls.
Yep.
What this does is it transitions you from the house and the weight, and you feel that the weight of the grounding and the calmness and that heavy strength behind you of a hill, of the weight of the mountain as such. And that gives her the calmness of the security of that, the strength behind her, that weight behind her. And for him, it makes him feel more powerful as well in that space. Whereas if they were at the top of a building, or maybe where it could be easily observed, she would feel quite different from that other.
I don't know if it's because it's day 2, but I feel so emotional listening to that.
That's great.
It brings up so many emotions. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is just so. I think it's because the way you're describing that, it's so supportive. Like it's so supportive of each person, and like everyone's seen, everyone's heard, everyone's got their say, everyone is got their space. You don't have to, not compromise. That's not the word. It's
maybe it is the word.
Yeah,
because I don't have a better word for it either. Like when you're designing a house or any space, there's always going to be compromises. I believe the job of the designer is to find in the discovery of the design the gentlest of compromises, the one that feeds you both. It's not a settle for. It's actually something you go, oh, yes, now I see myself here. It's something that you embrace, and it embraces you.
And it feeds you both. I love that.
Yeah, because people get into, well, what about the kids? And I'm like, yeah, when they've got a house, someone to come and see me, or when they want a house, someone to come and see me, we'll worry about them then. But to some degree, that is kind of a little bit of it. We want to do some things for them. What they will gain often, what I believe children gain in a home, is they gain from seeing how they're demonstrated to everybody else lives. And how their needs are met by the space. And if you live in a home as a kid, if you're lucky enough to grow up in a home that has been beautifully designed and well thought out, you're already stepping from a platform that is one that engages you and nurtures you. And it's kind of like going, why would I have less than this?
I was about to say, how can you go back from that? Like my first ever apartment that I was telling you about, she could never go back to one of those places.
I think one of the things that's another really interesting thing is just observing from, 20-something years of doing design is that men will more often either make do or adapt to.
Yes.
And women will be more firm about understanding something they want or need from it. And men will, with that adaptation, lose who they are to themselves too easily, as opposed to saying, actually, no, this would be what I need. This is what works for me. This would be the better thing. And I always think of it a bit like this. If you have a cat, you live in the cat's house.
Yes.
The cat owns it. You're the visitor. And to some degree, if you're in maybe, I don't know, with non-heterosexual relationships, but some of my clients are non-heterosexual. So yeah, you often live where the feminine energy is the strongest because they're more the homemaker, they're more the nurturer, so that feminine energy in a home is often stronger because it nurtures the female's emotions. And with that, men will adapt to that. But having them adapt to that is one thing. Having them have a piece of that, and so their adaptation is more inclusive, is really important.
I love that. That is so powerful because then everyone can thrive.
Yeah. And there's plenty of homes where it's out of balance. And when it's out of balance, one party won't want to be there.
Yeah.
I bought a painting a little while back. It's a Martin McGorry, and Martin McGorry's a famous Western painter. And anyway, it's these three guys sitting on a horse, and it's just over there in front of me. They're sitting on horses, and they're in the desert. And anyway, I hung it up in the house, and Becky's like, I love the painting. It's beautiful, but I don't want it here in my dining room because it feels like I've got three men looking at me. I feel like this male, because they're, masculine characters on horses. She goes, I feel this energy from it. And I'm like, that's okay. I'll take it to my office. It's fine. But it's, I love having it in my office. But it's that kind of thing. Again, it's like, I don't need that in my dining area. I don't need that in my, in that part of my home.
Yeah. She could feel that.
Yeah.
She felt that. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, eh?
So interesting.
I find all this stuff that isn't just created with a pencil and some thought is the most fascinating people about unwrapping humans and designing something for them. And it's like you with your programs, unwrapping them, letting them see themselves or discover themselves in a journey, and then designing the steps for them to put their feet on so that they get to where they're going.
Yeah. Well, it's everything is design, really. Like they're designing their life just as much. They're designing, it's designing your body, your health, your life. You can design anything. I always say to the girls in the morning when I'm checking in with them in our community, I'm like, remember, you are the creator, you are the author, you are the designer of your day. You can create anything you want.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I love also the I ams. I do my I ams every morning.
Yeah.
I do my I ams every night. I have targets and goals stuck on my computer. I have them stuck on my mirror in the
Same.
ensuite, these things. I love going to someone's home and they're showing me around their home that maybe they're going to be moving from, or maybe we're going to renovate it or redesign it or something, and seeing, when they have all these things scrawled in lipstick in their bedrooms or whatever, I'm like, yes. And guys as well, like
you have to surround yourself. Yeah, surround yourself. Your environment is everything. And if you can see it visually, every time you go to the bathroom, every time you walk into your bedroom, every time you open up the fridge, like you've got to surround yourself with it instead of just doing a quick meditation in the morning and then just forgetting about it. You have to continually remind yourself
Just
of
keep
your
it front of
goals.
mind, that
Yeah.
mindset. Something really lovely that I saw a little while ago now, a couple of years back, was I was in a Japanese garden and I had a guide that was taking me through the garden and telling me the story of the garden. And it was the story of one human life. And in Japanese gardens, I don't know whether they're all like this. I'm just telling you about one I know of. And that was explaining, so this path here goes up and down because this was him in his adolescence where he was unsure and it would turn and there would be a few dead ends and stuff. And it was telling that story. And then there was a big rock and he met this person. This rock signified this person that made him change direction. And when he changed direction, he followed a stream and he started to find his flow as he moved down through there. And then it came into more soft, gentle plants and stuff. And the gravel size changed, the rocks changed. And this was the flow path of his life that was leading through. And the whole garden was, you walked it a certain way. And each point of it, nothing's written. I told the story. Nothing was written, but yeah, each point of it took us to another piece of that person's life journey. And, there was a point, I think there was it might have been 3 different sized rocks. And these 3 different sized rocks signified partners that he had in a business that he had ended up with in this business. And the way they were positioned meant that I can't remember the exact story, but that this one was the dominant one of those, and the other 2 were more the supporting piece of
Wow.
that. And yeah, just so much, totally thought like that. And yeah, so anybody could walk his life journey.
Yeah, wow. And people can feel it as they're walking through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of fun, eh?
Yeah, incredible.
I love that we can play like that and create things. I love that life script, and I think that that's a really cool thing. And I would encourage listeners to reach out and, reach out and ask you about getting their life script, just so they can start the journey without a doubt.
Yeah, I can point them in the right direction for sure. It is, even if you just do that, and start there, it's so powerful. And yeah, you witness how magical life feels after that and how things just start happening. And sometimes I'll be doing something in my day, I'm like, this is on my life script. I've just created that. I'm just living it. And it's beautiful.
I love that. I love that point when you can get to reflect either on a day or on a year or whatever and go, oh, okay, we did, those things did happen. I did tick those off.
Yes. Yeah. I do that with my vision board as well. I'm like, tick, 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 tick. All right, new one, tick, 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 tick. So once you get that vision and once it's just like you're saying, to affirm into the universe, this is what I want. This is what we're working towards. Yeah, that happens.
What an awesome conversation. I hope everybody's enjoyed it as much as me. I've got even more questions on my pad, but we're going to save them for another time. I would really encourage the listeners to go and listen to your podcast, the Hayley Morcom podcast, and dig into some of the guests and the stories that they're telling. And yeah,
you'll be on there as well, so they can come over and listen to you.
Come over and listen to me. They've probably heard enough of me by now. But yeah, follow it up, and we would love to hear that whole thing from especially the female listeners, and you can as well, of course, about that piece of in your cycle. If you see how that works when you're in that design flow of what you're doing, and even if it's not design, if it's whatever you do, I'm really keen to see that. And I would love that some insights in that for my emotional floor plan, as to when different things would matter more. So, coaching women, I can't believe that you wouldn't need to know all that stuff about them before, like of the whole cycle. so that you know what you're getting when they're turning up.
Yeah, well,
on
do
the
you find
floor.
women change their mind even with you with designing the floor plan, and then 2 weeks later they've had a change of mind? Maybe,
Yeah.
that.
And we try to leave enough space. People often will go, yeah, it's a process, bang, bang, bang. We want to lay it out at a certain speed and cadence, and this will happen and this will happen because I want to see the end date. And I often will say to them, well, we can go that fast, but we'll see if you can.
Yeah.
And we will make allowance for you if you can't, but we can do it that fast. But I believe it'll take you more time. I was laughing with a client the other day, and she said, remember that story you told me about people who, you're in concept 7 of your schematic design and, and that you're not done yet. She said, I remember you telling me that story. And she said, and I thought to myself, that will never be me. But you're saying we're at number 11 now?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I am. And
I love how flexible you are though, like with that, because people, they do have ebbs and flows and change their mind. And going back to the cycle thing for women, there's a few apps they can try. One, I personally use Natural Cycles, but there's plenty out there now. I actually use the thermometer as well. So it actually is quite accurate in the terms of like exactly what your temperature is doing and rising and falling throughout your cycle. So
yeah, I know Becky, my wife, used one as well for years. And so I'm not sure which one, but certainly
there's plenty out there.
Certainly very empowering.
Yeah, very empowering. That's a beautiful word for it.
Hayley, thank you so much for your wisdom, your time, your energy, and staying up late. Or not staying up late. We'll call it working late.
Definitely staying up late, but it was for a great cause. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
this has been
pleasure.
Such a beautiful chat.
Yeah, I've loved it. So we will talk soon, and we will be posting this sometime soon. And we'll post all your socials. We'll tell people how to get a hold of you and all those things. And hopefully, by the time we've got it posted and within, sort of a month, we've got the chance to come back and answer some questions. That'd be really fun. Well, I won't be answering them. You will be. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Cool.
I'm in.
Awesome. Take care. Have a great night.
You too.
Thank you for tuning into our conversation. I hope it left you both informed and inspired. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. And please don't hesitate to share your design thoughts with me. It's always a joy to hear from you. If you're like me and crave a deeper dive into design thinking, coupled with a love for travel and adventure, consider one of my architectural adventures. Join me and some of my wonderful design friends and embark on a journey of a lifetime. Apply for an unforgettable design experience at adrianramsey.com. With our clients spanning the globe, I firmly believe behind every great project are great people. If you're a great person and seeking to turn your dream into a reality, I'd be honored to design your home with you. Why not join the ranks of our exceptional clients? And let's make your heart sing. Reach out to me at studio@ardesignhouse.com. That's studio@ardesignhouse.com. And let's get a conversation going and make your heart sing.